Good Thursday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks, SUVs, the motorcycles, the camper, the pool, the dogs, the kid. Hey, wow, today is the 4th of July. So happy 4th of July to all those that subscribe to my channel, and I hope you're going to have a beautiful 4th of July day here in the Virginia area. It's sunny as all get out. It's sunny as can be. Beautiful day. A little warmer. A little more heat here today. So it's going to be a beautiful 4th of July. A truly traditional feel of what so many of us have grown up around throughout our life is celebrating the independence of our country. Yes. So many that studied history and went to school and listened to the teacher and read the books. I'm sure you're well aware of that. I live in a state that was actually the first founding part of this country from 1607, May 13th, when 104 men and young boys traveled from England to find a new opportunity of independence in Jamestown, Virginia. So Virginia really is the true beginnings of the America that we know, the USA. And there's lots of history that goes along with that, which is kind of hard to believe that 167 years of rule under Great Britain from the 1607 initial founding of this country by the settlers from England that were sick of the king and sick of the rule of Britain and paying the taxes and everything else. And it's hard to believe it took that many years for them to finally get to have an Independence Day through the War of Great Britain and the French. You know, it's incredible how much history there is in our country for it to become independent on its own. And once again, I'm not the historian, so I'm not the expert in all the information, but I think it's pretty cool that we continue the tradition of recognizing one day out of the year of when this country formed its own, 13 colonies and wrote the law of the land through the Constitution to separate it from Great Britain to enable us to rule ourselves and have our own governing bodies and get away from the dictatorship of Great Britain. And it's just incredible to think about how many years ago was that, and yet so many here in our country more than ever want to tear up that Constitution and rewrite the Constitution and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. I'm sure many people here understand all that language if you're following the real world that we live in today and the political figures that are among us that get elected to office that you scratch your head and think, who the heck voted for this person? Yeah, right. What dope are you smoking? And I'm sure it goes both ways. So yeah, it's the Independence Day, and I thought, what better way to speak about the independence of who we are that is directly related to what we own. I mean, more than ever, I'm sure so many will all agree that the independence for us is these vehicles that we own, and it's the never-ending, ongoing conversation of why the governing bodies want to take that away from us. And it sounds a little radical in that statement, but yes, you just think to yourself, why are the governing bodies so wanting to get all these cars so controllable? I mean, Elon Musk, he's a double-edged sword. He's the guy that really, in my view, propelled the EV green agenda more than ever. And when I say the green agenda, I'm not as sold on him being the radical green agenda guy per se, but he's the guy that definitely took the money grab to create the opportunity to make the Tesla product, the electric vehicle, and catapult himself to where he is today, of one of the richest men in the world, not only through the Tesla, but through other ventures that I've talked about numerous times. But with all his technology, he's brought the control and dominance of the powers to be to overtake us of our independence. So Elon Musk, like I say, the guy's a double-edged sword because he so voices the thought of you have the rights to your freedoms and what you want to speak. He bought X. He bought Twitter, turned it into X. But at the same time, he's creating everything around us that will have dominant control by the select few. That everything you're going to own through the Elon Musk, everything, you just step back and think about Elon Musk. Everything he builds and designs is controlled from somebody else. Meaning that he has the FSD, the full self-driving Tesla vehicle that gives you the capability to, you could say, have your independence from driving your car. But in so many ways, no, that's not really factual. The car is driving you, so it's controlling you in some ways. And Elon Musk has built into these cars, as all these other manufacturers have, is tracking devices, and they know everything you're doing. And then you go to Elon Musk with, let's just say, the satellite, his satellite capability. Well, he's going to bring you satellite service, but he's controlling your capability of getting service to wherever you live or wherever you are. Then you go to his so Starlink, his satellite business, which he's trying to make that the most dominant thing in the frickin' sky, to be able to bring information to you, which he's going to have all control of that. And then you go to Neuralink, where he wants to put a chip in your brain to control your brain. Then you go to SpaceX, where if you pay him a bloody fortune, he'll put you on a frickin' ship and ship you off somewhere and have control of you, whether you come back home or not. Let's see, what else does Elon Musk... Well, he has artificial intelligence. He has the robots that are going to be the dominant thing as time progresses, that the robots will control what we do. I mean, so it's just incredible that we're evolving in a society more than ever before in our life that's truly going to strip all of us of our independence. Because all these machines are going to have their own brains and the minds of themselves, and they're going to know everything we do. I mean, oh my gosh. And I think some people will be like, this is far-fetched. No way. No way, it's happening. I mean, NVIDIA is the number one stock in the world right now, fastest growing stock in the world, the most sought after semiconductor chip GPU processing company in the world, to the point that the Chinese are using just individuals to get suitcases of just, stuck few chips, and they're getting them on airplanes. This is factual. Right now, there's people out there that are literally buying up NVIDIA stocks and going back to China with them. And they're not buying thousands, they're buying probably 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 of them. They can pack them in a suitcase, and are getting through the airplane or the airport systems, and they're bringing them back to China to take advantage of this technology to hopefully then be able to create what NVIDIA has made. But the whole point of NVIDIA is they're the guys that want to have the hyperspeed of this artificial intelligence come to our doorstep like never seen. Which means, once again, it's the computer that's going to take over your independence. So, I mean, and it's really interesting how the political figures to be that are on the radical side, in my views, and I know some people on my channel, they kind of I've had one gentleman reach out like, your channel is so much fun. But once you start talking this political language, it just kind of starts to me feel like, you're just going down the path of everybody else. Well, for the record, I don't talk political talk every day of my life. For the record, my channel's not dominant political talk, but at the same time, I just feel like it's important that we all have to start talking among ourselves with this election year upon us, that we really have to take a sincere look. And if this continued attitude of yours is, who cares? You're a fool, because radical things are happening in our country. You're a fool if you continue to want to not say anything and start letting other people know that it's just not right. It's just not right. Don't have to argue. You don't have to be mean. You just have to voice an opinion. Somebody starts running their mouth about something, you just say, that's just not right. That's just not right. That's not acceptable. And just leave it at that. You don't have to start a big fight with them. And so people then like, oh, wow, you know what? Somebody's objecting to my views and ideas. Nobody ever does that to me. So that's your independence. Your independence is you want to be able to think freely on your own and express your views and ideas. But yet, more than ever, you're being shamed if you think you should think that way. That's the whole point of what's going on in our country more than ever, is you're being shamed if you don't really speak your independence. They don't want you to be independent. And that's the whole thing about this car evolution, with Elon Musk being the forefront guy pushing everything. That's really the taking away our independence to what we truly love and want, is these just really good old ICE engines and just really good old cars that get enjoyment from us, feeling that we have independence. And that's why I think today is such a cool word, because every one of us, truly, from when you became a teenager and you got your first license, and then you became from a learner's permit to your own actual driver's license, wow. Talk about the first time you drove away from your parents' house, or whatever it may have been, and you were by yourself. You no longer were with your mother or father or whoever used to drive you around day in, day out. And now you had the power to drive wherever you wanted to go. I mean, within reason of what it's not like you can go leave because you have obligations to go to school, family. But the whole point is, who doesn't remember getting in their car, motorcycle, and you just having the freedom and independence to go drive anywhere you want? And that was huge. And then you could go drive over to your friend's house and pick them up, and you and your friend or whoever else would get in the car, and you guys could go for a ride and go do whatever you want. I mean, that was so much of a feeling of you growing up and you having control of yourself more than ever in your lifetime. And it all comes directly related to these cars. The cars, I truly believe, really helped you grow up, because then you had to start making your own decisions. You got to be on the wheel of a car, and after you took your driver's test, and then you come up to an intersection, and there'd be a bunch of cars there, and you would kind of get a little nervous, because do you turn, do you not turn? Who hasn't been in situations in a car that you have somebody behind you, tailgating you, you're coming up a road, and you got to make a left-hand turn, cars are oncoming, and is it safe to turn? And they're pushing you to turn when you shouldn't turn, and you have to hold your independence of, I'm not going to turn because it's going to be a car crash. And that car crash will then be on my ticket, not yours. Who doesn't know these stories of somebody tailgating you, forcing you to want to go faster and faster and faster, and you know as well as I do. If you're the lead car and you come up around that corner and that guy's pushing you and you get caught speeding, the cop was going to laugh at you, and he says, oh, so the guy behind you told you to go faster? It's going to go nowhere. So for our independence in these cars, it was truly a true beginning of helping us make decisions. And in some ways, tough decisions. In fact, even a point that you would have to say to your friend, as much as I want you and all your friends to come with me, my parents aren't going to let me do that. And I don't want to do that because blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's a big problem. As you know, I think there's even laws written today where there's only X amount of teenagers can be in a car, I think. I'm not really all abreast on that. And so for you, as a young adult, or a teenager, and getting going in this life, all these vehicles, I think, are the real foundation of you beginning your life's lessons on you being independent and feeling you've made the right decision. And who doesn't know the feeling that when you did get in a car crash, or you did get the speeding ticket, then you question your independence. You question yourself that you now made decisions on your own, and then you maybe feel bad about that. You feel guilty about it. You feel shamed because your parents will be disappointed, your friends, or you're embarrassed to anybody know. That's usually what happens when you make mistakes. And so for the cars and trucks and motorcycles, I think it's a great tool and foundation for so many that learn just it's processing information. But yet today, more than ever, we've seen a loss of that younger generation wanting to be behind the wheel of a car as soon as they become of age to get a car, or to get a license, I should say. And we know why. It's because we have the social media. For my age group and others not far behind, in order to see your friends, you had to go personally ride your bicycle, get your mom or dad to drive you, or walk up the street, or make a phone call to tell them you're coming over on a landline. And the only way you had interaction with your friends was a physical presence. But yet today, it's all the social media. It's all you can look through video, FaceTime, cell phones. So you don't have that separation feeling like I did growing up, because I had to go see somebody in person and have a physical interaction to feel like I had friendship. And today, that's not the same. And so it's taken away in so many ways the younger generation's desire and drive to have a vehicle. But you think to yourself in life of my generation versus today's generation on how we look at things and process information and do things. And you have to say to yourself, to the true beginnings of my life, of my independence, come from me learning how to drive a car, motorcycle, and me being able to go out on my own and make my own decisions and do things, versus today's society is, does a young person really have their independence? Because there's such the social influx, the social pressure like never ever seen, where they don't really have their independence. Even though you think you have your independence, you younger people out there, you're constantly bombarded by the social network, the social interaction of these devices that in so many ways I think is taking away your independence. Versus there's so many of us, like Charles out there in Oregon, you know, I think that he's probably the guy that was probably much like me growing up, where you were off in the woods going and doing stupid things. You're off, you just went out and you were independent. You were by yourself. You didn't have anybody around you. You had isolation. And in that today's society, I think that's a big problem. That you don't have people that have isolation, so they can't think on their own. And that's really a dangerous path, I think, to the future of how people operate and think, because it turns into you're not just one, you're everyone. And that's such the underlining goal of today's fear of so many of my age, that for the younger generation, they're not going to be, they will never have their independence, because they're going to be sucked into having to be with everyone else. And because of all the technology and all the things that are bombarded with them day in, day out, I don't think they can separate themselves. Versus for me and you, I guarantee you, I remember going to Tennessee with my mother back in the 70s. And it was like, we would go down to Tennessee to my mother's parents' house that were just good old, poor old farmers. My mother grew up picking cotton. She had a father that tried 5 times to have boys. 5 times he had girls. And he had a farm. And he actually used to have to use mules to till the fields, and he didn't have enough money to own a piece of equipment. This is back in the early, this is back in basically the 1920s, 30s, and so for him, I think about my mother, from the true beginnings of where my mother came from. Well, the point of that is, I used to go to visit with my mother to see her father and mother at their little, house on a farm out in the rural area of Tennessee, and there's just nothing there. So I would go from being in Jersey with all my friends in the summer times of us out doing our silly things, playing in the neighborhood, going to the shopping center, riding our bicycles, playing football, basketball, going to swimming, whatever it may be. We had a little sailboat, going boating, to then I'm out in the desolate area of Tennessee, in my view, and we'd be down there for like 10 days, usually, if I was about the time frame, and there's just nothing there. And it's just now, you're literally walking around my grandfather's old barn, the fields, and you're just, just the days were long because there just was nothing to do. My mother would take me to see her cousin or her aunt, and we'd go around and travel, or I'd see my mother's sisters. And so, but it was just a total isolation time for me. And it was challenging because you just was like, wow. But, as a kid, you got to go do what the parents want you to do because you don't have your independence. And independence is really about you having the capability financially to be able to live on your own in so many ways. Not totally, but your independence in life, everybody's goal, I'm sure for so many was, as you progress in life, was to become well educated and schooled, and then for the most part, get into a career that enabled you to make money, to enable you to be able to move out, enabled you to be able to have a house and then have your independence because you could live the life you want to live and not by the way others want you to live. And that's what I tell people all the time. I've been saying it my whole life. When you want to tell me how to live my life, you just pay all my bills and pay my lifestyle, and I'll listen to you. Until then, I like your opinions, good ideas, but am I going to live by your rule? No, because I'm the guy who has to pay all the bills, and this is my lifestyle. But if you're going to pay my lifestyle, then sure, then I'd have to, then yeah, by courtesy to you, I'm going to have to abide by your views and ideas because you're paying my way. And that's where you get the independence taken away. And that's what's so dangerous of our sitting powers to be in government, is they want to promote to others in the world, come to our country, and we'll take care of you. And so is that independence? I mean, sincerely, do you feel independent in life when somebody's shoveling money to you to help you live? I don't think you do. I don't think you feel good about that. In my lifetime, people haven't given me stuff, but I don't want their stuff. That isn't who I am. That hasn't been my life. I've created my own wealth and my own monies and my own debts and my own dire straits. And I've always paid for what I've bought and what I own, and nobody's given me things. But I don't want people to give me things. I don't feel good about that. And sure, my life, I always have shared what I've gotten with others, which I enjoy doing that. And I always will, especially close to my family. So for the independence of us, I read a really great article this morning that kind of spurred on this conversation, which at the last second I thought about, and I'm not lying to you, I didn't really know what I was going to talk about this morning. And I didn't even know if I'd make a video. It's 4th of July, and if you look around, the Ford Mustang Dark Horse is gone. Where'd it go? What happened to that car? Yeah. Is it happening? Is it happening? The car that I was going to put a supercharger on is gone. The car that I was going to show a big venture in all of my collection of vehicles is no longer here. Yeah. Now, if I was a typical YouTuber guy and I wanted to play that little gig on you, I could. But I'm not. So the kid, it just cracks me up. Whenever she got this, the kid that has a really beautiful Ford Mustang, Vapor Blue GT Mustang that I modded with a Steeda suspension, with a Corsa H-pipe, with a Roush muffler, with a Shorty shifter. She's now addicted to my Ford Mustang Dark Horse, which is not as loud. It's not as loud as her car. And so I'm like, wow. So this morning she took off in that. Yeah, how about that? I didn't know she was going to do that. But it's just not a big deal. I don't have a problem with that because the car needs to be driven. Cars need to be driven so she can drive. My blood, for the most part, my daughter can drive wherever she wants. I'm not really worried about that. But at the same time, yeah, the Dark Horse is gone. Did you even notice that when I walked by here? So what I've read this morning, which is very intriguing, here's the Ram TRX, which I had such, different views and ideas of buying this truck, had reservations, finally bought the truck. I got a really good deal. I feel good about it. And here's what's really interesting. So Ram, I just read an article, which I'm even blown away. The 2025 Ram truck, all new, redesigned, refreshed, updated. It's on dealer lots. I didn't even know that. So if you want to go buy a brand new 2025 updated Ram 1500, I'm not talking about 2500, 3500, 1500 truck, those are already at dealer lots. And I read a really good article about the highest end Ram 1500 SST HO. It's a Ram. They call it the Ram SST 1500 tungsten HO. I guess tungsten model. It's the highest leather or highest trim package you get in a Ram truck. It's a $90,000 truck, but it has that inline six twin turbo Hurricane motor with like 541 foot-pounds of, or 540 horsepower, and I think 531 foot-pounds of torque. And that's what I have in my Grand Wagoneer, but not the high output one. Mine's like 500 or 505, and like I think 510 or 520 foot-pounds of torque. My wife just loves that Grand Wagoneer, and she took that to Tennessee. And so anyways, I read an article on that truck. Wow. That truck, they claim they did 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. They're stunned. They're blown away. This is, I think, Motor Trend. Yeah, this is Motor Trend magazine. So the new Ram 1500 with that inline six does 0 to 60, 4.4. This truck here, they've shown like 3.7, 4.3, So off the line race with that Ram truck, I guarantee you that new inline six is going to hang with this truck all day long. This truck is like 110 horsepower or 110 quarter mile speed, 0 to 60. 3.7 is like the fastest they got it, I think, but most of them are saying it's about a 4.3 0 to 60 truck. It's a quarter mile, 110. So the new Ram 1500 with that inline six, it's 105 miles an hour, quarter mile. So if we were to line those two trucks up, we're gonna be head to head. Head to head. Wow. Wow. But I mean, it's a $90,000 truck. You're not gonna get the grunt out of that TRX motor you get. But here's another thing that's very interesting. So the Easter egg, Ram, Jeep, Dodge, always does the Easter egg, I guess, teaser. I would say teaser. So they show videos and commercials, and they give you a hint that something else is coming down the road. Well, for the Ram TRX, right now, it's the RHO that's replacing the TRX. So if you're following the Ram product, you're going to be able to buy a very similar looking Ram truck that looks just beefy and gnarly, but it's have the inline six motor because the Hellcat motor is finished. But they're saying, they're kind of giving hints that the TRX isn't done, that something bigger and badder is coming. So the Easter egg is teasing those out there that are the Ram followers that there's something coming back from the TRX end, and it's going to be bigger and badder. What would that be? I have no idea, but just so you know out there, there's speculation now that the Ram TRX really isn't done. But that's what's so cool about all these cars and trucks. I mean, you know as well as I do, when you have a fast car and you come off the line or you're going on the highway and you take somebody, what's that feeling? I mean, come on. I mean, I know it kind of irks others, but when you come off the line or you kind of some ways are racing somebody, you just love that feel of independence when you walk that person. Who doesn't have that? Who doesn't just love that? You know, it goes on all day long. People get behind these cars and trucks and vehicles these days. They're so fast. Who isn't out there, you know, smoking somebody? These Lightning trucks, they're beyond believable. This F-150 Lightning truck, there's so many days I'm out on the open highway and it's dangerous how this thing just poof, it just rocks. I mean, it rolls down the road. I mean, you know, some people I know it just pisses the crap out of them because it's an electric vehicle. I'm sure you've been up next to Tesla and the guy shows off how fast it is and he just blasts you because it's incredible torque. And hey, Kiefer boy, what are you doing now, right? Besides, if he doesn't have a ball in his mouth, he's not happy. Yeah, that's his independence, he and the ball. So on the motorcycles, I mean, what better feeling than getting on a motorcycle that you truly feel you have independence? I've talked about this so many times on a motorcycle side that you get on a motorcycle and you just want to keep on riding. I mean, you don't want to go back home because you just have this free, you know, the freedom feeling. You know, you feel like you can just ride. And that's what's so unique to motorcycles. So you get on one and you ride one, you just don't get it. And I know a lot of people are scared of motorcycles and they're dangerous and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I get all that. And a lot of people just aren't going to do it. But for those that do it, you know as well as I do, it's just a different feeling. Especially if you're out in the country, where you have the freedom of riding, where you're not in stop and go traffic, and you're not being tailgated or following a slow poke. Now here's something interesting. So some people reached out on my channel. I made a whole video last night. And you know, yesterday I was really feeling bad, lousy. But you know what? I think I'm figuring it out. So many people know that this dog dander's probably got me. And it does. And Kiefer is in the camper with me. And he's really in close proximity. And yesterday, I'm going to tell you what. He got me good because he spent a lot of time in my back area. Usually my daughter kind of locks him down in her area. And man almighty. Yeah, Kiefer, I really think I am allergic to Kiefer because you hear me coughing right now. Even like the shortness of breath, I can just feel it's such a difference for me now from being in Florida. And I've had this conversation numerous times. But wow, you know, there's no doubt in my mind. And he sheds so much that I probably get hair of his in my freaking, I'm probably breathing I probably have his hair in my body. So it's not good. And with me being in this really small camper, it's even more challenging because it's such a small area. And I noticed last night, my daughter kept him in his back area. and I slept really well, and I woke up this morning like a whole new person. But now that I'm back around them again, I'm kind of getting this cough again. So wow, really unfortunate. But yeah, I know people, we talked about this in great length. But yeah, I'd have to say, because my Wheaton Terriers, I just don't remember having this much a challenge, but I don't know, who knows. Anyways, back to the bison. So it's interesting. I've always thought WeatherTech has their act together. They've always been a good company for your mud flaps, you're putting for your floor mats. They have lots of accessories for your trucks and cars. So I bought this from WeatherTech, and now I've got some people reaching out saying that the GM Chevy product has an exact match for this mud flaps, splash guards. We want to talk. I showed a whole video of me doing this yesterday, because here in the back, they don't fit right. You can see they didn't do that right. Even though the box, I went to WeatherTech's site, and I swear they had the Bison edition to check off if that would fit or not. I mean, to me, it looks good enough for me. I'm not really that doesn't bug me. Somebody else may bug them. I don't really care. I like how it has a good look to it. But now, as people reach out on my YouTube channel, they're saying you can buy factory GM mud flaps, splash guards, that will be exactly correct for that truck. But I responded to one of the comments, and I said, hey, are you sure it's for the Bison package? You know, it's one thing to say that GM has mud flaps for Colorado, but is it for the big fender flares, these big molded fender flares? That's what's creating the problem here, if you know what I mean. But I think it looks good. I like it. Am I going to redo it? Hell no. I don't care. Need to get some mud flaps for the Explorer ST. So, wow. All right, everybody. That's kind of pretty much it. I even had, I'm a lone man. The wife is in Tennessee. The kid's going to be hanging with her friends today. So I'm the lone man on this 4th of July. And I may go down to Cabela's because I need some shirts. I left a bunch of my nice shirts that I bought from Bass Pro Shops down there in Florida by accident. And so I may go to Cabela's, but at the same time, there's so many little projects I could get going in my shop. There's so many accessories. Do I get motivated to do that? I mean, this whole area over here, this is all Honda accessory stuff with a Talon. And I got stuff for the Goldwing. Yeah, and you know, in some ways, should I jump on the Goldwing and drive down to Cabela's? Maybe I do that. I don't know. Just maybe gonna try. I mean, I take the Triumph down, but the Cabela, but down. This has, you know, luggage storage. That's the thing about these bikes, is when you ride these bikes, you got to wear a backpack. And Timber Honda never called me to tell me if my little back seat call thing came in. But anyways, that's it. I'm done. I hope everybody has a great 4th of July. Only downside for me is I got all these dogs. I'm sure a lot of people can relate with this. When the fireworks start going off, the dogs just go nuts. Kiefer doesn't. My other dogs are all very intimidated by that. They all shake, and you know, it's just they want to start crawling all over you. So I used to blow fireworks off. I mean, this is pretty cool to do this out here, but at the same time, with the dogs, they all just start going nuts. I'm sure many people relate with living in the neighborhood where if you have animals, it's kind of a long evening with the fireworks going off. So hope everybody has a blessed day. Hope everybody stays safe. Hope everybody doesn't get hurt on the 4th of July, which you do hear the stories of the 4th of July. This is interesting. I saw this guy come up here yesterday. I wonder who this guy is. Yeah, it's a new, is that a new neighbor? I don't know. So everybody said blessed 4th of July. Have some fun. Don't drink too much. And everybody look for more adventures on Ice Age TV, right? God bless. Have a great day.